You want to hear an interesting story? Well, you know, might as well get these videos out, right? I mean, we're talking about, I broached the subject of leaving Japan. Why not talk about it a little bit? I've got a nice stretch of empty road up here to walk along. If you don't mind the boring scenery, I'll try to entertain you with my hat. Anyway, so, you know, you've got the idea we're leaving Japan in 3 years. You know, it seems like a long time out, but it'll go like that. And it's good to plan it now and get it all ready and basically be ready to do it. We've done it before. We left Japan before. And, you know, the way we did it before was I went first. I went over and we knew where we were going to go. We'd picked Santa Barbara, California, basically off a map. We'd only been there once or twice, the two of us. And we picked it off the map simply because it was the bitchinest place we knew. And we thought starting life is going to be hard no matter where we go. Why not make it start over in a great place? So we started over there. I went over first. At that time I think I had just several $1,000s, not very much. That's an orange car. I had several $1,000s in my pocket, and that was it. And I went over and I bought a truck. And for $2,000, about $1,900, left me with a couple thousand after that, and some camping gear. And I went down to the beach in Santa Barbara, and I stayed at the El Capitan State Beach area. Not right in El Capitan because I didn't want to pay the park fees, but in the beach area there. I slept on the beach and used shower facilities at the public beaches in Santa Barbara, just the facilities you wash off from the thing and from the sea. And during the day I went around and I had the want ads, and I looked for jobs and I looked for an apartment. I had no credentials, no references. I had nothing at all. I had about a little over $2,000 in my pocket, and basically what do you call it? Grub stake, like the old 49ers. And I really lucked out. I found I found a woman. Her name is Mrs. Summerfield. She will hold a dear spot in my heart and my wife's heart forever, ever. My wife and I talk about when we retire, we want to be like Mrs. Summerfield. Elegant, sophisticated, not in the haughty way, but in just the refined way. Elegant woman, beautiful soul, spirit. She was a tenant and managing this small little apartment complex of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 units in Santa Barbara at the corner of Milpas and Anapamu Street, right where it goes to the corner by the Santa Barbara Public Bowl. We could hear the music from the bowl there. Free concerts every weekend, and we would sit there, and the Grateful Dead would come. We could hear them. It was great. Anyway, we could hear. We were there. We got this little apartment. I think it was the A unit on the bottom, next to the street. And our neighbors next. Oh, and then I got a job right after that. Landed a job. Paid next to the minimum wage. But you work up from there. When we left Santa Barbara, we were millionaires. So you start off humble and you just work your way up, right? And it's amazing how these things work out sometimes. Sometimes they don't. Hey, but we're not going to die. It's not like we're moving to the middle of Antarctica and you're going to die without provisions or supply from the supply ships. No, that's not going to happen. The worst thing we have to do is suffer a little bit, and that's always been a good thing for me. So anyway, we did this and we did that, and I got a job and we had that, and then once I was settled, I had a little job, we had an apartment, I had the truck, we had just like $500 left at the end. Yumiko hopped on a plane, came over, I had set everything up for us, and we started our life. Now, it happened that the next door neighbors in that little apartment, I think they were the B unit, you can correct me if I'm wrong, not that it matters, carpeted parking, look at that. Isn't that curious? It's carpeted. The guy and gal next door were Glenn and Nancy Peck. I don't think he minds me telling his name. And they turned out to be our best friends. They were our first friends after we returned to the United States. We've been living in Japan for several years. They were our first friends, and they became very, very dear friends. I mean, it was almost like Fred and Ethel Mertz and Lucy and Ricardo, and I wouldn't say who is who, but we were that close. We were tight, always in one another's apartments next door. We playing Monopoly, all the time, board games together, eating together. Glenn and I were always in the ocean together, diving, spearfishing, frolicking, having fun, mostly just laughing. I mean, Glenn and I, we were really, really tight. We differed politically, and we had the most intense arguments. We would drive, wherever we drove, we'd drive to the ocean to go diving, and we'd argue all the way there. And then we'd get there and we'd dive, and then we'd argue all the way back, and then we'd cook up the fish that we caught and sit out there on the porch together and talk. And I don't think either of us really drank much back then, but we were the dearest friends. And that went on for years. And I've kept in touch with Glenn over the years. And here's where this story gets interesting. basically, I announced on Facebook that we were going back to Bainbridge, to the States in Bainbridge Island, and I got this message from Glenn this morning. He's like, "Are you serious?" He lives in Austin or someplace. Yeah, Austin, I think it is, Texas. He's like, "Kurt, are you seriously going to Bainbridge?" And I said, "Yeah, what's up?" He's like, "Do you know that my family and I are nearly certain we're moving to Bainbridge as well?" I mean, now, if I wasn't the skeptic that I was, I would cry, "Hey, whoa, that's kind of woohoo, you know, something weird going on there, you know." But it's just serendipity, and that's a beautiful word to describe it. That it looks like this may not happen, but just they're considering it. We've basically made up our minds, and it looks like I'll go over this way so I don't film his father and his kid. So it looks like what a coincidence that our very first and closest friends after our return. Ooh, that's a loud car. After our return to the States, may wind up being our neighbors again when we return to the States again in a completely different city, you know, decades apart, you know, almost within, it's almost impossible to imagine. Wouldn't that be something else? Now, here's one of the things that's interesting as well. I haven't seen Glenn in years, but we've kept in touch, and I can tell you this. I don't know why, this is just a gut feeling. You know how you meet friends after years, after decades go by, and you realize you don't have much in common anymore? I have this feeling, and that basically Glenn and I would take over where we left off. And we'd be out. I've left stories on the LylesBrother channel about my experiences with Glenn. You know, from spearfishing, you know, to hunting sharks together, to swimming as far out. I think one video is called swimming to the deep end of the ocean, swimming out into the ocean. I'm sure that he and I would basically take over where we left off. Well, the only thing that's changed is that at least my political interests have mellowed. So I'm probably not as argumentative, and we'll have much more interesting discussions, or at least the discussions not revolving around politics necessarily. But I'm really looking forward to that opportunity. It may or may not happen, but hey, what do you know? Isn't life strange? Yeah. Okay, well, I better sign off. 7 minutes. Yeah, and I'm almost at the bridge. Well, thank you for entertaining me, guys, and keeping me company while I walked. I appreciate it. I'll buy you a soda. Bye.